What's good? It's Woog. We've got Devin Haney, 31 wins, 0 losses, and 1 no contest, taking on Jose Ramirez, 29 wins and 2 losses. This fight is a part of the Fatal Fury in Times Square card, which is a really exciting trio of fights. We've got the main event, which is Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero, inexplicably for a WBA regular welterweight title. Like, neither of these guys fight at welterweight at all, yet their welterweight debut is going to be for a vacant regular title. It's pretty crazy. But there's that fight. There's Teofimo Lopez versus Arnold Barboza. Teo's going to be defending his 140-pound WBO title. Can't wait for that one. And then we've got this one, Devin Haney versus Jose Ramirez. This is Devin Haney's first fight since that debacle against Ryan Garcia, where Ryan Garcia came in a few pounds overweight. They had to renegotiate the financials of the fight. And then after Ryan Garcia beat up on Devin Haney, dropped him 3 times, and won a split decision at the time. Like, Ryan Garcia at the time of the fight looked like he turned in one of the performances of the year, just to test positive for Ostarine and then get suspended and get that win turned into a no contest. So Devin Haney technically still does not have a loss in his professional career, although you cannot undo the beating that he suffered at the hands of Ryan Garcia that night. And his opponent here, Jose Ramirez, is the former 2-belt 140-pound champion. Like, this guy won his first belt, I believe it was against Amir Imam. He defended that successfully a couple of times. Then he stopped Maurice Hooker to capture the second belt. And then he ended up having a battle for undisputed against Josh Taylor. Ended up being a really good fight. Josh Taylor dropped him twice, won a unanimous decision to become undisputed at 140. So Josh Taylor is the one who established himself as the man in the division post Terrence Crawford. But Jose Ramirez came pretty damn close. Now, it should be mentioned that the whole point of this Devin Haney versus Jose Ramirez and Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero, it's supposed to be a building block to the highly anticipated rematch between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. So that's what this event is supposed to work towards. And it's kind of crazy because Jose Ramirez, as good as he's been throughout his career, is a huge betting underdog here. Like, Devin Haney is a minus 835, greater than 8-1 favorite, with Jose Ramirez a plus 750. I just don't even understand that. Like, Devin Haney's a bigger favorite here than Ryan Garcia is against Rolly Romero. And the only thing that I could really chalk this up to is, well, one, this fight is going to be fought at welterweight. I mean, Devin Haney's not a welterweight, neither is Jose Ramirez, but Jose Ramirez is coming off of a loss. It was a somewhat close loss, I would say 6 rounds to 4, 7 rounds to 3 against Arnold Barboza Jr., who's going to be having that title shot against Teofimo Lopez on this same night. But Jose Ramirez, you know, he was supposed to win that fight against Barboza. But ever since that battle for undisputed against Josh Taylor, Jose Ramirez has largely been like half active. Like, he had the battle for undisputed in 2021. That was his 2021 fight. He had one fight in the year before that, 2020, against Victor Postal. And then after the battle for undisputed, he had one fight in 2022, one fight in 2023, and then he had 2 fights finally in 2024. And 2024 ended up being his worst year, where he got like wobbled against Rances Barthelemy. Didn't look good. He won a unanimous decision, but Rances Barthelemy looked like he had him in trouble like multiple times. And then he loses later on in 2024 against Arnold Barboza. So I think that the idea is that Jose Ramirez is not the same beast that we saw stop Maurice Hooker in 2019. Although I thought that he looked really good against Richard Commey, but Commey was coming up from 135 to 140. But Jose Ramirez did stop Richard Commey in 2023. That was actually his first stoppage win since that stoppage over Maurice Hooker in 2019. So maybe the idea is that Jose Ramirez, you know, due to age partially, but more so due to the inactivity, is just not as fleet of foot in terms of his style of kind of trap and punish against the ropes. Let your left hook to the body go and apply your, you know, intelligent pressure. And Jose Ramirez in interviews is always, I remember like years ago, he was trying to make the same point that he's not a brawler. He doesn't even consider himself like that traditional quintessential Mexican style. He's not just a come forward brute who's just letting his hands go. He fancies himself a technical boxer. He says, you know, look at my amateur pedigree. I'm a boxer. It just happens that I do apply a pressure and let my hands go in punishing the body, but don't get it twisted. I'm not a sloppy, non-technical boxer. But if that's the case, then now's going to be the time to show that, right? Because you're going to be fighting Devin Haney. And, you know, Jose Ramirez is a pretty tall fighter. He's about 5'10". Haney's about 5'8". So Jose Ramirez should have the height advantage here. And Devin Haney's got a decent reach. I'm talking 71, 72 inches. Well, Jose Ramirez's reach is 72 to 72 and a half inches. So Jose Ramirez is a pretty long-limbed fighter. And it kind of makes it interesting that Arnold Barboza was able to stand his ground. And I mean, he was moving to a degree, but he just kept turning Jose Ramirez, turning him, and wasn't spending a ton of time against the ropes. And in many of those moments where he was near the ropes, he was just beating Jose Ramirez to the punch, just kind of cleanly jabbing, popping, and then exiting it back to the center of the ring against Ramirez, kind of keeping him like one step behind. So I think that maybe the public saw a lot of that, but I'm still thinking like, damn, greater than 8-1 favorite, especially with the questions that we have with Devin Haney. Like, yes, you had that loss removed, but the punishment was still the punishment. Psychologically, we might assume where he might be, but we don't know where Devin Haney is recovery wise after that. Look, I do think that it went a long way that Devin Haney, that he went the decision. It's not like he got stopped by Ryan Garcia. He made it the full 12 rounds. Yes, it was a brutal 12 rounds. And yes, a couple of those knockdowns were horrendous, but Devin Haney did kind of soldier through, which is why it's interesting to me that a lot of people look at Devin Haney as somebody who doesn't have a lot of heart. Like, did you not see that fight against Lomachenko and see how much Devin Haney had to dig and made a fight out of that in getting that decision win? I know a lot of people feel otherwise, but Devin Haney earned that decision win against Vasily Lomachenko. He went up a division to handle one of the most dangerous guys at that time in the division, Regis Prograis. And then he has that fight against Ryan Garcia where most people thought Devin Haney was going to school Ryan Garcia. That's why Devin Haney getting clipped in the first round was such a shocker. It's like, oh my God, because you could see that Devin Haney was wobbled in the first round against Ryan Garcia. And a lot of people were kind of pointing to the bow and arrow jab where Devin Haney was throwing the jab, but he was throwing it in a way where his backhand was pulling back because he shoots the jab here and then the hand comes back. So your hand's no longer guarding here. It's like your momentum in your shoulders took your hand back. So now you're exposed right here. That is kind of the idea behind why Devin Haney was vulnerable to those Ryan Garcia hooks. I also just think that Ryan Garcia's got lightning fast left hooks. You know, it just is what it is. It's a very dangerous punch, but you would think that that would be the one punch, if anything, that Devin Haney should have scouted for. But again, he got hurt in that first round. Yes, Ryan Garcia had Osterine in his system. Let's not discount that and the importance of that. But a lot of people are like, damn, but what the hell, Devin? You're still getting caught with this punch. So I think it's pretty safe to say that Devin Haney is one of the most hated on fighters in the sport. Fair or unfair, like people just have their mind made up about Devin Haney. Personally, I like Devin Haney. I think that he's been taking chances since early in his career. Like in his early 20s, he was stepping up in competition and really testing himself and trying to build a legacy. I always respected that about Devin Haney, going out to Australia twice to fight the then red hot George Kambosos and then dominating him twice, and then fighting Vasily Lomachenko, then fighting Regis Prograis, then fighting Ryan Garcia. Like, let's not act like Devin Haney isn't daring to be great, as they say. For whatever reason, people just decide not to like the guy. Well, here he's going to be fighting again Jose Ramirez at 147, even though I saw another article where they said that this was going to be like at a 144 catch weight. Let me know if you have any more information on that, if this is truly going to be 147 or if it's going to be something like 143, 144. But I do kind of look at this as being Jose Ramirez's last chance at greatness. A lot of people think that he is now outside of his prime. If he is outside of his prime, then he might really look a step or two slow against Devin Haney. Because if Arnold Barboza was turning you like that and was able to win 6 to 7 rounds, Devin Haney in a 12 rounder, he might win 9, 10, 11 rounds against you. So the question is, can you see Jose Ramirez and his intelligent pressure style backing Devin Haney up, getting Devin Haney to get closer to the ropes? Or do you see Devin Haney standing his ground, popping that jab in Jose Ramirez's face, kind of walking him down a little bit and not relinquishing the pocket, not getting bled out of the pocket, not going and retreating to the ropes and moving a ton where you look like you are being hunted? Whose style do you see taking control in this fight? I do see Devin Haney kind of having his way not in the same way that he had against George Kambosos. I mean, George Kambosos is a totally different fighter than Jose Ramirez. I've never looked at Kambosos as being on the level of Jose Ramirez, but I'm just not sure at the age of 32. And I hope, this is going to be Jose Ramirez's third fight in about a calendar year. So this is pretty much the busiest Jose Ramirez has been since 2019. Like, this is the most fighting that Jose Ramirez will have done in a 12-month period in like the last 5-6 years. So the question is, does he still have the legs to execute the type of strategy that he likes to impose on his opponents? And it's one thing if you're doing it to a Richard Comey or a post-prime Jose Pedraza, which Jose Ramirez did in 2022. It's another thing if you're doing it against Devin Haney. Again, we don't know how vulnerable Devin Haney is right now in the wake of that disastrous night against Ryan Garcia. But I tend to believe that Devin Haney has enough boxing IQ and sweet science wherewithal to be able to keep this somewhat in the center of the ring. I'm not saying that it's going to be like the prettiest affair, but I do think that Devin Haney's style is a bad matchup for Jose Ramirez right now. And I was even tempted to wonder whether Devin Haney was going to go for a knockout in this one. Like, Devin Haney, I don't think has scored a knockout since Zayor Abdullayev, which is actually a 4th round knockout that's aging pretty well, as is his prior one against Antonio Moran. Both of those guys, they're not bums, but those fights took place back in 2019. Devin Haney has not had a knockout win since that. He's had nothing but unanimous decision wins and that no contest. That has been Devin Haney's like last 8 fights, nothing but UDs and NC. Wouldn't that be a statement if he stops and becomes the first to stop Jose Ramirez? I don't think that that's going to happen. I just don't think Devin Haney's got the punch to take Jose Ramirez out. And it would be interesting if Jose Ramirez is able to impose his will and back Devin Haney up and make this look like a Jose Ramirez fight. I just think that we're going to get more rounds where it looks like a Devin Haney fight and Jose Ramirez is getting eaten up with the jab and is getting pelted when he's trying to enter the pocket against Devin Haney. Devin Haney will take that one step back, keep you out there. Again, even with the height and reach of Jose Ramirez, I could still see him looking kind of slow-footed, trying to figure out a way inside as he's getting tattooed a bit. It'll be interesting to see if Jose Ramirez could get his own jab going. If he could double and triple up on jabs and try to back Devin Haney up that way, then maybe we've got a fight if he's going to be doubling up on jabs. But I just see Devin Haney being able to out jab and out kind of sweet science at range against Jose Ramirez. By the way, I've always wondered how a Regis Prograis versus Jose Ramirez fight would go. Like, Prograis actually fought a closer fight against Josh Taylor, who again is the greatest 140 fighter since Terrence Crawford, right? Terrence Crawford became undisputed. Then a couple years later, Josh Taylor became undisputed. But I'd always wanted to see Regis Prograis versus Jose Ramirez. And maybe we still get that, even if they are both post-prime. But I've always thought that Jose Ramirez would fit into the style of Regis Prograis. Regis Prograis just couldn't like close the distance against Devin Haney. He's short-armed. He doesn't move his feet a ton. So Devin Haney was just able to have a field day and able to win like all 12 rounds against Regis Prograis. But since Jose Ramirez is the type to come in on you, that kind of works towards Regis Prograis' strength. I just wanted to put that out there. I've always wanted to see Prograis versus Jose Ramirez to see how that plays out. But yeah, I've got Devin Haney beating Jose Ramirez via unanimous decision. I know it sounds like the obvious answer. And no, I don't think that the odds should be this damn wide. but that doesn't mean that I'm going to pick Jose Ramirez to beat Devin Haney in 2025, even after Devin Haney took that beating against Ryan Garcia. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this one in the comments. What do you think the state of Devin Haney is right now? Is he going to be a shot fighter? We've seen that before. We've seen fighters like David Reed, the former Olympic gold medalist, the same year that Floyd won the bronze. David Reed was the golden boy of that Olympic class. And then he ended up having that fight against Felix Trinidad, and his career was really never the same. He started losing to like nobodies all of a sudden. He went from being an undefeated belt holder at 154 to getting absolutely damaged against Felix Trinidad. I think that was a case of too much too soon, or just the wrong opponent maybe. I mean, Felix Trinidad was that type of a fighter. But yeah, is Devin Haney damaged goods, or do you think that he could resume the healthy, let's say, Hall of Fame level career? Because that's what Devin Haney's been on his way to, just in terms of his, fight by fight trajectory. I mean, he was an undisputed champion at lightweight. He's, a 2 belt holder because he was the WBC champ at 140. I also wonder if he's going to go back to 140 after this fight at 147. But I assume that if he handles business against Jose Ramirez and Ryan Garcia handles business against Rolly Romero, that fight between Haney and Ryan Garcia is going to be at 147. I just don't see Ryan Garcia getting anywhere near 140 again. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on Haney versus Ramirez in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are into the fight talk. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.